What's going on YouTube? This is UltimateiDeviceVids, and this is Tweak Recap. And if you're not familiar with this series, I round up 5 of the best Cydia tweaks that are currently available in Cydia. Let's begin. And the first tweak I'm going to show you is called AppColorClose. It's available in Cydia for free. And it's super cool to make it so when your device is in wiggle mode on your home screen like this, it'll make it so the X's on deletable applications are the same color as their respective app. So you can see here, because the podcast app is purple, the X is purple. Because the Twitter app is blue, the X is blue. Because the YouTube app is red, the X is red. And you can actually change the opacity of these X's. And how you do that is you go into settings on your device after you install the tweak, and scroll down until you do see AppColorClose and go in there. Now the only thing that you're going to see in here is the tint alpha slider. Now the further this slider is to the left, the less color the wobbling X's will have. So let's move it all the way to the left here, and you're going to notice that there's absolutely no color on the wobbling X's now. So you can see here, again, they're completely gray. And now let's go back into settings, and let's turn it all the way up to the maximum, which is 1.00. And now we'll go back into wiggle mode here, and you can see that the colors are a lot more vibrant. And now let's go back into settings here, and let's go for somewhere in the middle now. Let's go, let's say, about 50, and we'll exit out. Go back into wiggle mode, and you can see here that again the colors are still there, but they're not quite as bold. I do like the bold color, so I prefer to keep the slider at the maximum. But that's all for this tweak. Once again, it's called AppColorClose. It's available in Cydia for free. And the next tweak I'm going to show you is called Remind Me Later. It's available in Cydia for free, and it's to allow you to snooze any notification banner. And how this works is whenever you receive a notification banner, you can either swipe left or right on it, and you can configure different time intervals for the notification to snooze depending on which way you swipe. How you configure this is you go into settings on your device after you've installed the tweak and scroll down until you do see Notify Me Again and go in there. And the first thing that you're going to see in here is the enable switch. Of course, that will allow you to quickly enable or disable the tweak in its entirety. And next we have the swipe settings, and there is the left swipe delay and the right swipe delay. So let's go into the left swipe delay, and let's change it from 1 minute to, let's say, 2 minutes. And we'll go into the right swipe delay, and we'll just leave that at 1 minute. So again, when I swipe left on a notification banner, it's going to come back and notify me in 2 minutes. And if I swipe right, it's going to come back and notify me in just 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and send myself an iMessage here. And as soon as I do receive the notification banner, I'm going to swipe right on it, and that will delay it for 1 minute. And however, there is no confirmation that it has been snoozed, so you can see here there's no confirmation. So that is something that this tweak could improve on, but again, that's just a small thing, and the tweak does work exactly as advertised. So you can see here, just a minute later, it does give me the notification banner again, and it does say 1 minute ago. And that's all for this tweak. Once again, it's called Notify Me Again. It's available in Cydia for free. And the next tweak I'm going to show you is called VColor. It's available in Cydia for free. And this tweak will allow you to customize the volume HUD color. As you can see here, you can customize the actual bar color, the excess area that isn't filled in the bar, the overall color of the entire box, and you could also add a number count to your volume status. How you configure this tweak is you go into settings on your device after you've installed it, and scroll down until you do see VColor and go in there. The first thing that you're going to see in here is the background settings panel, and as it sounds, the background is just the overall background color of the volume HUD. You can see I currently have it set to red, and if you go in here, you could choose between any of these colors. I'm going to change it to green, and I'll go back into the volume HUD, and as you can see, this is what it looks like in green. And now let's go back, and the next option is the depletion bar. And the depletion bar is anything that isn't currently filled in the volume bar. So you can see here, this blue area down here, and again, anything that isn't actually filled in, that's the depletion bar. And if you go into the depletion bar settings panel, you can choose between any of these colors. And just so you know, all of these settings panels share the same color selection. But let's change the depletion bar to, let's say, yellow. And I'll go back into the volume HUD, and there you can see it's yellow. So let's go back here, and the next option is the volume number. Now that's actually a new feature with this tweak that's not in normal iOS, and I did mention it earlier, but it's basically just the number. As you can see right there, it's counting up, again, how much is filled in. And it's a little bit hard to see because my background is green and it's gold, so the colors don't really mix too well. So let's go into volume number, and let's change it to purple, and I'll go back into the volume HUD, and you can see it's a lot more visible now. And now let's go back, and the fourth and final option is the volume meter. And I'm just going to open up the volume HUD, and of course the volume meter is basically just anything in the volume bar that is filled in. So of course you can see it's orange. And let's go into volume meter, and we'll change it to, let's say, white. Let's open up the volume HUD, and you can see again now the volume meter is white. And let's go back, and down here you have the ability to go to the developer's Twitter page, and beneath that you have the ability to go to the light version or full version of another tweak from this same developer. It's called Be Animated, and if you select the light version or the full version, it's going to open up Cydia to the respective page of the package that you selected down here. Again, the light version or the full version of Be Animated. And that's all for this tweak. Once again, it's called VColor. It's available in Cydia for free. And the next tweak I'm going to show you is called NoHomePageBlur. It's available in Cydia for free. And this tweak will remove the blur from the home screen wallpaper of the home screen card in the app switcher. Normally the wallpaper is blurred in the home screen card, again in the app switcher, but this tweak completely removes that. And after you have installed the tweak on your device, you're going to want to go into Settings and scroll down until you do see NoHomePageBlur and go in there. And in here, the only thing that you're going to see is the enable switch, and of course that will allow you to enable or disable this tweak in its entirety. However, when I first installed this tweak, it didn't take an effect, so what I had to do was just disable the enabled switch and re-enable it, and then go back into the app switcher, and then it took effect immediately. So again, if it doesn't take effect after you install it, just go into Settings and disable the enabled switch and then enable it again. And I'm going to show you what the home screen card looks like on normal iOS on my phone over here. As you can see, it is blurred. However, with this tweak, it's not blurred at all. And that's all for this tweak. Once again, it's called NoHomePageBlur. It's available in Cydia for free. And the fifth and final tweak I'm going to show you is called SwipeExpander. It's available in Cydia for $2.50. And this tweak will allow you to do various useful things with your keyboard. And after you've installed this tweak on your device, you're going to want to go into Settings and scroll down until you do see SwipeExpander and go in there. And the first thing that you're going to see in here is the keyboard settings panel. And if you select that, you have the ability to go to any of your keyboards. I'm going to select QWERTY. And in here, we have the ability to set actions for our keyboard. For example, an action could be you could swipe up on the L key and it will select all the text. And then you could swipe down on it to copy all the text. How you create actions is you just select Add New Action. Then you're going to see a blank pop-up down here. You're going to want to select that. And then you could fill in this entire form. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it a name. I'm just going to call it Test, and then I'm going to select Done. And next we have the Swipe Up section. And what this does is when you swipe up on whichever key you assign, which you will assign later by the way, it's going to perform whichever action that you choose here. By default, the Swipe Up and Swipe Down, as a matter of fact, actions are both set to insert text. And of course there are text boxes where you could put in whichever text you wanted to insert. However, I'm going to change the action to something else. Let's say Select All. And by the way, there's various actions for you to choose from in here. But anyways, let's go back here. And you could see as soon as I changed my Swipe Up action from Insert Text to Select All, you could see that the Swipe Up text box disappeared. And next we have the Swipe Down section. And the action for Swipe Down, as I mentioned earlier, is also by default set to Insert Text. So let's go into Action here, and we'll change that from Insert Text to Copy. And we'll go back, and again, as soon as I changed the action from Insert Text to Copy, the text box for Swipe Down disappeared. And the next section is the Assigned Keys section, and this is where you actually select the keys that you want these actions to take effect for. So I'm going to select Assign New Key here, and I'm going to select the Q key. And most likely when you select a key, it's going to say that it already is assigned to something else, because this tweak does come with various pre-configured shortcuts for pretty much every single key on the keyboard. By default, it is configured that the characters from the 1, 2, 3 key are overlaid on top of the normal QWERTY keys just to make it easier for you. It makes it easier in the sense that you don't have to select 1, 2, 3 to access these characters and numbers. You could just swipe up on the QWERTY keys. However, of course, you can delete or overwrite the way that it's configured by default, and that is what I'm doing right now. You will know when you're assigning a new key if that key does have another shortcut assigned to it. For example, you can see Q. Right above the Q key it says Test. So again, the title of the shortcut that is assigned to a key will show when you're assigning a new key above the key. For example, you can see that the Y key doesn't have an action assigned to it. However, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use something that does have an action assigned to it because I want to show you what it looks like when you overwrite something. So I'm going to select the P key here, and you can see it pops up. It says Key Already Assigned. The P key is already assigned to an action. Do you wish to overwrite it? I'm going to select Yes. Something else I want to mention when assigning new keys is it is case sensitive. So if you assign a key when it's in lowercase, it's only going to work in lowercase. And you can see next to the assigned keys, it does say small letters. What this means is the shortcuts that you assigned here will only work when you swipe up and swipe down if the shift key is disabled. So if the keyboard is in lowercase mode. Thanks to this tweak, depending on the shift key, the keyboard actually adjusts. So as you can see here, if the shift key is on, all the keys will be uppercase. And if the shift key is off, all the keys will be lowercase. That just makes this tweak a little bit easier to operate. But let's say I had the shift key on. I'm going to assign a new key. I'm going to select the W key, and you can see it's warning me that it's already assigned, but I am going to override it by selecting yes. Now as you can see, under assigned keys, the W key does say capital letters, and the P and Q keys do say small letters. And what all this means is if the shift key is off, this action will only work with the P and Q key, and if the shift key is on, this action will only work with the W key. Now that I have my shortcut configured the way I want it, let's test it out. So let's open up the Notes app here, I'll create a new note, and I'm just going to start typing something. And let's say I wanted to select all. Because I'm in lowercase mode, the shift key is off, I can swipe up on the Q or P key and it will select all. So I'm going to swipe up on the Q key. And there you can see all the text is selected. So let's say the shift key is on, and let's say now I want to select all. You can see now the W key says test because again the shift key is on, we're in uppercase mode. I can swipe up on the W key and then it selects all. And that same logic does apply for swipe down gestures as well. And now let's go back into settings and let's go back. And as I mentioned a little while ago, here are all those pre-configured shortcuts that come with this tweak. And you can delete them from here if you want to. You could just select minus and then select delete. If you want to, you can delete the ones that you created from this view as well. They are at the top, and of course you could just select minus and delete just like all the others. And now let's go back again, and the next option is the show letter case toggle. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I actually recommend you keep this on, and what it is basically if the keyboard is going to adjust to the shift key's position. So if the shift key is on, all the letters on the keyboard will be uppercase, and if the shift key is off, all the letters on the keyboard will be lowercase. I'm going to disable show letter case, and let's go into the Notes app here, open up our keyboard, and you can see when I turn the shift key on or off, the actual letters don't change. It does make it a little bit harder to determine which mode you're in, therefore making it harder to determine which keys to swipe up or down on to perform certain actions. With that being said, I do recommend that you keep show letter case enabled. The next option is the Show Names on Keys toggle, and as it sounds, the names on keys are just the names of the shortcuts above the letters on the keys. So if you don't want the names of the shortcuts above the keys, what you could do is go into settings and disable Show Names on Keys. And now that it's disabled, let's go back into Notes and open up our keyboard, and you can see the names above the keys are completely gone. And now let's go back into settings, and I do recommend that you keep show names on keys enabled because again it helps you determine the state of the shift key, therefore helping you determine which keys to swipe up or swipe down on to perform certain actions. And the next option is the Show Previews toggle, and what this toggle does is give you a preview of what's going to be inserted before you release your finger from the key. So you can see here, if I tap and hold on Q, of course it's going to say Q, and if I release, it's going to insert a Q. However, if I tap and hold on Q and then slide up, you can see it's giving me the preview saying select all because I do have a action set, so when I swipe up on the Q key in lowercase mode, it's going to select all. So if you don't want the preview to show up when you swipe up on an app icon, what you could do is go into settings on your device and disable show previews. And now let's open up Notes here and bring up our keyboard. And I'm going to swipe up on the Q key just like I did before, but you can see there is no preview. And if I release, it's still going to select all. And now let's go back into settings, and I am going to enable show previews. I personally like seeing what's going to be inserted before I release my finger. And the next option is the sensitivity option. And what this is basically how sensitive the keyboard is to you swiping up or down. So if you want it to detect your finger extremely easily, sliding up and down, you could select very high, and if you don't want it to, you could select very low, or of course anywhere in between. You do have very low, low, medium, high, and very high. By default it is on medium, and I do recommend you keep it there, but just to show you what this does, I'm going to change it to very high. And now I'm going to open up the Notes app here, and I'll bring up the keyboard, and I'm going to swipe up on the Q key, and you can see how easily it activated. So of course it's a lot more sensitive because I turned the sensitivity up to very high. And now I'm going to go back into settings here, and I am going to change the sensitivity back to medium, and we'll go back. And the next option is the Keyboard Prevents CC toggle. And when this option is on, it's going to prevent you from opening up Control Center while your keyboard is open. So let's go into the Notes app here and bring up our keyboard. And you can see with this option disabled, I can open Control Center with my keyboard open. And now let's go into settings, and we're going to enable Keyboard Prevent CC. And now that it's enabled, let's open up the Notes app, go back into our keyboard. And as you can see, now when I swipe up, nothing happens. Control Center doesn't open. The reason you might want to do this is oftentimes when you're pulling up Control Center with the keyboard open, you accidentally hit certain keys on the keyboard. And because of that, I do recommend that you keep Keyboard Prevents CC enabled. And now let's go back into settings here, and the next option I want to show you is the opacity slider. What the opacity slider allows you to do is adjust the opacity of the keyboard shortcut indicators over the letters on your keyboard. The further the opacity slider is to the right, the less transparent the keyboard shortcut indicators will be. So you can see it's currently set at 60%, and I'm going to go into the Notes app here and show you what it looks like at 60%. You can see that's what it looks like. And I'm going to turn it up to the maximum. So let's just drag it all the way to the maximum, which is 100%, of course. Let's go back into the Notes app, and we'll bring up our keyboard, and you can see that it is definitely less transparent. And now let's go back into settings here, and the next option is the size. And of course, that is the size of the keyboard shortcut indicators. I currently have it set to 12, so I'm going to go into the Notes app here and show you what that looks like. We'll just bring up our keyboard. And you can see that is what it looks like at 12. Now let's go back into settings here, and I'm going to change it to 10. And now let's go back into the Notes app here, and I'll show you what that looks like. And so you can see it does definitely take effect. It's a lot smaller. Now let's go back into settings, and the next option is the landscape size. As you can see here, it is currently at 10, and I'm going to go into landscape mode right now inside the Notes app and show you what it looks like at 10. So let me bring up the keyboard here in landscape mode, and you can see what it looks like at 10. And now let's go into the settings app here, and I'm going to turn up landscape size to the maximum. Let's turn it to 12. Now we'll go back into Notes and go back into landscape mode, of course, and bring up our keyboard. And you can see that's what it looks like at 12. And now let's go back into settings here, and everything beneath landscape size is positioning stuff, which is pretty advanced, so I do not recommend you adjust any of those. And that's all for this tweak. Once again, it's called SwipeExpander. It's available in Cydia for $2.50. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.